Hi, I'm Susan Brown, and welcome to Bridging the Capital Access Gap. This module is giving you ideas on how to improve the credit of your clients, and improving credit is one of the best ways you can help clients qualify for capital. We're going to discuss what are some of the most common reasons why clients have problems on their credit reports that get them disqualified for a loan, and then I'll give you some ideas on how to address those problems. The reality is, to get the tools of wealth creation in our country, you almost always need some credit to do it. So whether it's starting a small business, getting a car, buying a home, buying a commercial space, work tools, whatever it is, inventory, all of these things are often financed. And without financing, it's hard to make these things happen. It's hard to get the basic building blocks of business development and wealth creation without access to capital. As people step into the space of accessing credit and prove themselves via their credit reports that they are lower risk, you qualify for better pricing on loan products. So what most lenders do is, when someone comes in the door, if they think they're a high risk, they tend to price products to that person higher. And the lower risk people get lower prices, lower interest rate on their products. So over the course of a lifetime, people who are perceived as higher risk could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars more on interest payments than people who are perceived as lower risk. So this starts to demonstrate why it is so important not only for us to help people get in the door to start this whole credit building capital access project, but to get them positioned over time to look better and better to lenders so that they get lower pricing on their loan products. And as we know, the people who we work with who have poor credit or are credit invisibles or have thin credit files become, unfortunately, prey to predatory products and predatory lenders. These are high-priced, short-term credit options such as payday loans, merchant cash advances, and other products that really can create cycles of increasing debt and sink people further and further away from the wealth creation and stability we're hoping to create for them. So here are two great resources on these two topics of credit invisibles and merchant cash advances. So the first one you see there on the left is a short video. I think it's only 15 minutes or something. And it was created by the Poverty and Environment Research Center. And it's a wonderful video on credit invisibles and what they are and how being a credit invisible impacts somebody over the long period of time, and how it closes doors to wealth creation, business development, and financial stability. So I recommend you take the time to watch that video. The second resource on the right there is by Axiom Opportunity Fund. And they did research on their own portfolio base because they started seeing people come in the door a few years back with these things called merchant cash advances. They're technically not loans, they're cash advances, so they are not regulated in any way. And they can be very detrimental to someone who takes them out. And I won't go into all the details why. You can read about it in that piece that is in the handouts called Unaffordable and Unsustainable. They did a great job of demonstrating why these are such awful products and what happens to people who get stuck in the cycle of accessing this predatory lending. So it's good to educate yourself about these things. You will probably see people coming in the door with some of these predatory products. Sometimes clients won't even know that they have these products or exactly how they're structured. And this is a wonderful education piece you can do. If you get knowledgeable about it, you can pass this information on to your clients and say, hey, I want you to understand how these merchant cash advances work, why it's hurting you, and let's see how we can get you out of this and into something much better. So the good news is you can help your clients improve their credit. This is a tremendously valuable service that I highly recommend, whether you're a lender or a business development organization, to perhaps step into this space and do what you can. You can provide credit education, development, and repair services that are essential to helping people figure this thing out and be in a better position to start businesses, build wealth, and access the things that allow them to create economic stability for themselves. So if your organization has this as part of its mission, you can start creating a series of services that identify common issues you see on credit reports and provide help to people on how they can fix some of those things and work their way into a much stronger position vis-a-vis accessing credit. Getting started helping people improve their credit starts with you in terms of making sure you're well-versed on how to read credit reports, how to identify issues, and how to fix some of them. We offer various resources throughout this training on how to do that. And as I've said in other modules, I strongly recommend you look into Credit Builders Alliance. It's a nonprofit organization that provides these very services to other nonprofits that are serving low and moderate income communities, and they have a tremendous array of services on this. So once you've got your knowledge up to speed, every time you work with a client, start by pulling their credit report and reviewing it with them so that you can start to say, what's going on here, and let's understand every bit of information. There's a link there to annualcreditreport.com. While we're in COVID, you can pull your credit report weekly for free from all of the 3 major credit bureaus. Once this special period's over, it might go back to once a year. I don't know. But for the time being, you can pull it frequently, which is nice. So pull the credit reports, go through it line by line, pay for the real FICO score. I recommend getting the FICO score that lenders look at so that it's not the free FICO score services may or may not be accurate, frankly, but I think it's very helpful to know what the real FICO score is that lenders will see. And again, budget for this if you can. If your clients have a hard time paying for their FICO score, then maybe it's something your organization can pay for. And it'll be an invaluable service for people to know what the lender is going to see when they look at their application and pull that report. There are 2 main federal agencies that oversee this whole arena of credit. And on the previous slide, you saw a link to the Federal Trade Commission. And on this slide, there's a link to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They probably have different roles. I can't explain all the differences, but they cover this arena. They have a wealth of information on both these websites. And I would suggest as part of your own education process for understanding how this works, what the laws are, what consumer protections are, all the rules around credit reports and credit reporting are managed by these 2 federal agencies. And I suggest you click on some of these links and look around and see what they have to offer. I think you should pay for FICO score because then you are going to get closer to what a lender actually sees, a true FICO score. Again, Credit Builders Alliance is the place to go to actually know the details of a free FICO score versus the paid for FICO score. But what you want to do is follow their advice and pay for a FICO score if need be to get as close as you can to what a lender is going to see when they pull the report. And here's some links on this slide to the 3 main credit bureau agencies, Experian, Equifax, and that last one is TransUnion. MyFICO is TransUnion. They're the gatekeepers on FICO scores. So do a little research here and figure out how you're going to get accurate FICO scores for your clients. So let's discuss some ways you can help your clients improve their credit reports. And the first way is addressing errors and problems. So the first thing you want to do is address any inaccuracies. I have a story. My name is super common, Susan Brown, and I pulled my credit report for a mortgage many years back, and there were 6 Susan Browns on my credit report. And I think I had 15 what they call derogatories or negative things based on all those Susan Browns on my credit report. So this happens. There can be a lot of errors on credit reports, mix up on numbers, on names. If you go over a credit report with a client and the client says, this is not my credit card, this is not me, this is whatever, all the credit agencies are required to have online disputation forms that you can go on, fill out and say, this trade line is not mine, or you've got this wrong, and you can submit documentation. And I believe the agencies have 30 days or something to reply. So definitely start with clearing up any problems. Then the second thing that's quite common with the clients we work with is there could be a collection. It could be a medical bill. It could be a phone bill. It could be a credit card. There might be various things that over time, for some reason, they stopped paying on. Now, it could be they lost track of this through a move. There might be a million different reasons why someone might have never paid a bill. But what happens when lender cannot figure out a way to collect after a few months from someone who's not paying is they sell it to a collection agency. So if there are collections, you want to contact the collection agency and start some kind of payment plan. And as I've said, collection agencies buy debt at a discount, so there's some room to negotiate. But any lender who sees a collection is going to want to see that a payment plan is in place or that the outstanding debt got paid off and settled in some way that was acceptable to the collection agency. So definitely take care of collections. The other common thing are slow pays. Maybe because they have just cash crunches and, folks who are low income, the safety net's thin and they're trying to figure out and juggle what to pay every month. But remember, all the credit reports show at least 24 or 25 months of payment pattern, whether you're on time or you're paying late. And if you see late payments or slow pays, if you see any kind of patterns of those, you want to get to the bottom of it with your clients. Get to the bottom of it and clean it up and see if you can help your client get a good 12 months of evidence of no slow pays before you apply for a loan. Now, you can always talk again with your lenders. There will be mission-based lenders that have a different orientation towards slow pays, but usually too many slow pays have to be addressed in order to qualify for financing. Another way to improve credit, and sometimes following the strategies on this slide will improve a FICO score, is to address the amount of debt that's currently showing on the credit card and the type of debt. If credit cards are maxed out, if there's too many credit cards, if there's just too much overall credit card debt, if the credit card amount is way over 50% of the limit, these are all things that frankly lower the FICO score and make lenders nervous. So we need to look at some kind of debt reduction situation when you see that happening on a credit card. You also want to limit the number of credit card applications or various types of credit that they're applying for. There's a section usually at the end of a credit report that's called inquiries, and it will show how many applications the person you're pulling the credit on has applied for in the last few months. So when a lender sees someone applying for lots of credit, it could look like they're desperate for credit, they're in some kind of crunch, they don't know how to manage credit. So lots of inquiries is not a good sign. So if for some reason you're working with someone who just loves to fill out, credit applications, say, let's put a moratorium on that to get those inquiry lists down. The other thing that improves a credit report is mixing the type of credit that's on there. Now, I know this will be hard for some of the people we work with. Again, it boosts your FICO score and demonstrates to a lender capacity to manage debt if you have a mortgage loan, a student loan, a credit card loan, a car loan, like different types of loans, and you're managing them all well and keeping the overall balances, especially on the credit cards, reasonable. Again, this shows that you're qualified, that you're managing it well, you know kind of how to navigate this different type of debt, and that can also improve the client's credit situation. So if one of these strategies, if financing a car or stepping into the first credit card or doing something to diversify might help your client, have a discussion about that. Another way of helping clients improve their credit, especially for those who are completely invisible, you pull a credit report and there's no they're there, or they have a very thin credit file, is to boost their sort of credit consumption in a responsible way by getting a secure credit card. And some banks will offer this where you deposit some money and that serves as collateral against a credit card. Or you can become an authorized user on someone else's credit card, but somehow stepping into the credit space. I worked once with a small business owner who had a credit card and he goes, "Oh, I've never used it because I thought that was bad. I thought that, it was terrible to use credit." And I said, no, actually, responsible use of credit is how you set yourself up for qualifying for more credit down the road when you want to grow your business. So I just educated him on responsible use of credit is a great way to start building your capacity and having a fatter credit file so that you can qualify for bigger loans. Believe it or not, if you have credit cards that you're not using, it's good to use at least one. But if you've got some old credit cards that you're not using, it's okay to keep them open. Having a sort of a smorgasbord of credit on there that's being responsibly used looks good to a lender. I know when I applied for my mortgage, the guy said, "Oh, don't close any of those credit things. You're using them really well. Just keep them open because, it's going to make you look better." He actually knew all these little ins and outs of what lenders look for, what the underwriters look for. That third bullet there, I made a list of things that are other credit tracking services. I will tell you, this is not my area of expertise. I always defer to Credit Builders Alliance on these things, but there are services out there that help build credit files through tracking different types of payments like rent. And I think some of these look pretty reputable to me. I did some research on them, but double check them yourself, do your own due diligence on them. And again, go to Credit Builders Alliance and see what they have to say about helping your credit invisibles step into this arena and build their credit reports. Often I've talked with business coaches who say, "Oh, I like to refer people to a credit repair agency." Well, I went and did a lot of research on this in preparation for this training and found when I Googled credit repair services, I got pages of Google searches that were just warnings. So that surprised me, and I did a little work and found that unfortunately there can be very unscrupulous credit repair agencies out there that, again, prey on people who are low income and haven't had an opportunity to navigate this arena and charge money for services that don't really do any good. So the first thing I think you need to do if you're going to refer this out is do research there. And here again, we have the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Justice Department looking into this whole arena of credit repair agencies. So click on those links and do a lot of reading before you refer anybody to any of these services. But what I'd like to say is based on the information in these training modules, you can step in and do this work yourself with your staff, get your staff skills up to speed on all these topics. And again, Credit Builders Alliance is going to be a great partner in training, and you could become the credit repair service for your clients as opposed to thinking you need to refer them out to other people. And as we've talked about, a lot in this training series, if there's one thing you focus on in terms of helping people access credit, this is a great investment for your organization to help the people you want to serve access more resources and build a better life. So that's it on improving credit. And the next module is on the next really big C of our 5 C's that helps people get qualified for loans. And that's improving cash capacity and debt service coverage. We'll see you there.